Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I was playing Silksong. Did you know Silksong's been out a little over a month? That seems completely bizarre for a game that we've been waiting to play for 7 years. I've spent 30 hours in the land of Pharloom, and I have only been able to complete Act 1. This game has so much to offer, including a map that is 3 times the size as Hollow Knight, which you'll be exploring for a majority of your playthrough. While exploring, you'll be able to collect rosary, which is the cash or currency in this game. And once you get enough, you'll be able to take that to shops or vendors to collect traps, trinkets, and charms for Hornet to make boss fights ever so slightly doable. In this game, you're also able to gamble, which is a pretty good thing. Now, there's a part of this game that just rubs me the wrong way, and I don't think Team Cherry took into consideration their fans when making this game. They took 7 years to make it, and it's almost like they rushed through this part, making it as difficult as possible. And I think you know what I'm talking about. They made us travel through biowater. Other than biowater, which, to be frank, I don't know if we can count, because nobody likes that place. It's like going to the BMV or the post office. Nobody wants to be there and no one's having a good time. I don't know if we can count that. However, other than biowater, there are still some concerns when regarding Hollow Knight Silksong. We can start with the differing of opinions on Steam in the review tab. Some claim this game is too difficult and the bosses are too challenging. Some claim that the parkour is too annoying and too tricky to even try to learn. Some reviews claim that the game was beaten the day it came out, which makes you wonder why Team Cherry spent 7 years on a title that's able to be beaten within 24 hours. Which also brings up the question, is Hollow Knight Silksong even worth it? Hollow Knight Silksong starts with Hornet, the main character, being trapped and sent to an unknown location. It's not until an unexpected friend sets her free, when she's sent down a cavern into Moss Grotto, where the story begins. Soon after the tutorial area, you'll start to realize that absolutely everything within Pharloom is incredibly expensive. If you want to sit down at a bench and rest to save your progress, that'll be 60 rosary. If you want a map of the area to know where you are, that'll be 70 rosary. You even want to think about fast traveling, you better take yourself to the Pharloom bank and get a loan, because that'll be 80 rosary on a one-way ticket on the Belbees. Acquiring rosary early in Pharloom is pretty much non-existent. You have to fight for every last bead of rosary, and that's not even including the ones that dive face first into spikes that you're not allowed to retrieve. Even if you think you're doing well on your rosary, the shop most likely will take all of that away. It's kind of like paying rent, and the fact that you think you're doing really well in the month, and then the first of the month happens and takes basically your entire paycheck. The only difference between paying rent online and paying for maps and pins is that when I'm paying online, I don't have anyone singing into my ear that they're about to commit a highway robbery. Other than the high inflation rates that are attacking Farloom citizens, another complaint arises is the unforgiving aspect of the boss battles. Let's say for a second that you're doing really well on Rosary, which, let's be honest, is not going to happen because you're broke. You still have to go find the map. It is not located in all the main shops around Farloom. You have to go to the specific area that you want to be in. You have to listen for the lady who's singing her tune. And then maybe, if you're doing well on Rosary, which, like I said, you're not because you're broke, then you can buy it. But even then, the map doesn't tell you where anything is within that area. You have to figure that out for yourself. Some of these fights take 2 masks of damage, which is a lot considering you really only start with 5. Bosses in this game hit like a truck. The amount of times you'll be crashing out because you're sent across the map, forgetting to save at that bench that's right outside the boss battle, yeah, you're gonna have to start all the way over there. And then you're not gonna be able to die because if you do, that cocoon that's in the boss room vanishes, and your rosary along with it. After your 317th time trying to defeat this boss because you're not good at the game, you finally get there. You finally defeat that boss. You're standing over it saying, I finally did it. And what are you rewarded with? Nothing. You don't get a thing for defeating these bosses. In Hollow Knight, at least you got a whole lot of Geo. But in Silksong, you just get the satisfaction that you did it. Now, with all that being said, I could continue trashing on this game. I could say that I don't want to battle the bosses. I could say that they're too difficult and quit. I could say that they take too much masks of damage and that I don't want to play that. I could also look at the rosary and say it's too much of a hassle to even try to collect any of that. I could also say that the map layout is too difficult and I don't want to learn it. But that's where I would be wrong. This game is phenomenal. I haven't been as excited for a game as this one for a very long time. The exploration in this game is absolutely impeccable. One of the complaints being that the map is too big is one of its greatest strengths. Why would you want a smaller map? This game does a phenomenal job at hiding different things dispersed within the map that it keeps it interesting that you have to go find those things. And like I mentioned in the intro, this map is 3 times the size as Hollow Knight. Why in the world would that be a bad thing? Throughout the map, there are an absolute plethora of things you'll be able to find, including benches, which even though they are expensive, every single time you find one, you have a sense of relief that you have a new place to rest. And also with those benches, there are usually Bell Beast stations that you can get to absolutely anywhere else on the map. Throughout your adventure, you're also trying to be finding secret locations within the map. Now, this can include things like traps or new abilities for Hornet. The options are absolutely endless of how you want to build Hornet and how you want her to play. The boss fights in this game are so incredibly fun. Each boss has their own unique attack style, and you're going to have to learn the pattern of their attack. Each attack has a tell, and with that tell, you're going to have to move Hornet to the place where she is not going to get hit. And that comes with the fact that you're going to have to get good. Once you finally defeat these bosses, which it takes a little bit sometimes, there's that sense of accomplishment. And yes, earlier I was saying that you don't get anything, which is technically true. The bosses don't drop a thing. But there's usually a crest nearby that upgrades Hornet in a different way than you think. With these crests, it changes the way Hornet plays. At the start of the game, when you attack in the air, it goes diagonally, which was one of the main complaints people had with the game. But once you play just a little bit longer, you can get a crest where you can just pogo just like you did in Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight took me exactly 42 hours to complete, and that's doing 104% complete of some of the DLC. No, I did not do Path of Pain. Do not ask me to do that because I will crash out. And considering that I've only played Silksong for 30 hours, that means I'm going to have way more time, maybe double the time of Hollow Knight. Let's start with the visuals. You've seen it behind me the whole time. The visuals are absolutely stunning, and it goes so well with the gameplay. The animations that Hornet does, it looks phenomenal. Each area in this game has its own vibe. You've seen Moss Grotto, where everything is covered in moss, everything is green. And there's also Graymore, which in the name, it is all gray, and the map correlates with those colors as well. And that's not even talking about any of the other areas. They each have their own different colors and their own different vibes. Staying on topic with different areas on the map, we haven't even mentioned the audio or the music. Christopher Larkin did an absolute phenomenal job when coming up with audio tracks for these areas. Christopher Larkin was also the music producer on the original Hollow Knight, and I had that album on repeat. That was probably my most listened to album a couple years ago. These music tracks are mostly prevalent when you're resting at a bench, and sometimes I'll even just go to Bellheart just to hear the music. I also didn't mention that this entire game was made from a group of 3 people. You could say that I'm showing my hand. You could say that the cat is out of the bag. My opinions on this game are very clear. I do enjoy playing Hollow Knight Silksong. With all that this game has to offer, you're probably thinking the price is going to get you. With games being $50, $60 nowadays, sometimes $70, $80, you're thinking this game will probably be in that ballpark, right? Yeah, this game's probably going to cost you about $20. I probably should have led with that. That's on me. I probably should have led with that. This game is $20, which is absolutely unheard of. This is cheaper than some fast food meals that you're going to get. So the question that we're all asking, and the question that I want to answer for you, is Hollow Knight Silksong even worth it? Hollow Knight Silksong is the absolute definition of a game that is worth it. I have not had this much fun in a game in a long time. I was in a bit of a gaming slump recently, and Hollow Knight Silksong broke me out of that slump.